you only go like a month to month, and then the closer you get, it's like every 2 weeks, then every week. I had to go like more and do more sonograms just to so they can make sure that he had enough fluid and that it hadn't, my placenta was still intact and all that good stuff. And so that's the only part that I didn't like. And then by me having the blood clots back in November, which was crazy because I was pregnant in the hospital and they didn't see him. Took a blood test, not a blood test, but a urine test and everything. Because they give you that before they give you medicine.
Right.
Took a urine test, no pregnancy. Like it wasn't visible. And then I go back for New Year's Eve, which was only a month later, and bam, you got a whole baby, 5 months. And so that part, so by me being on, they just switched my medicine, so I had to do a shot in my stomach, and that's the part I hated. So I had to like shoot it. It was only like one shot a day, but I just did not like that part because the bigger I got, the more stretched out my stomach was, and so it was hard to like grab that meat that didn't hurt. And so I had to do that all the way up until the very end. And so then my doctor gave me a choice of having it naturally and having a C-section. And so I opted for the C-section because I thought it would be quicker. Because I had like Isaiah's C-section wasn't planned. It was like I had went. I'm sorry. I guess I could have backtracked. I had
okay.
I had went in for Isaiah's just to get him checked out because I was like, oh, maybe I'm having contractions. Maybe I'm in labor. So I ran up to the hospital, and his heart rate kept going down. So then the lady was like, his heart rate, I really don't like the way his heart rate is. Let's C-section you. And so that one went so fast that it wasn't like panicky.
Right.
Like I was more panicky with the planned one than I was with Isaiah's C-section.
Right.
Because Isaiah's were like boom, boom, boom. For Ivory C-section, it's like I could see everything. I could see everybody. I started contracting, like I started going in labor. Wow. I was getting ready to go to the back. And she was like, do you want to just go in labor or do you want to have the C-section? And like part of me was like, oh, I would rather just not get cut and go in labor.
Right.
Then in my head, I was like, but this could last forever. Not thinking that, oh, you can get an epidural. I was just like, oh, this labor pains could last forever. So let's go ahead and go to the back. And that was like very nerve wracking. Going into there, you seeing them bring out this stuff. It feels like 50 people in the room with you. I started panicking on the table. I kept telling people, I can't breathe. What's going on? She was like, you're talking, you breathing. Now I use that with my kids. If you can breathe. But they were like, you're talking, you're fine, everything's fine. And I think what it was is, how I don't know if you ever had a C-section, but they put this block under your back. And so it pushed everything. They put the block under there to push your body up like that. And so it was like pushing all of this chest and all of that. It's like, because I realized like once they got him out and they moved the block, it was like, I just was like, okay, let's go. Yeah. And that was an experience because, I could feel like them pulling my organs like to the side.
Really?
I was like, yeah, they had your placenta, or not my uterus up on the, they moved your uterus out the way. Yes, they had it up or some kind of way, but I could feel like the pulling and tugging. I was like, what is that? What is going on?
What?
And so my doctor, who is my friend now, she was like, you was really tripping. You was asking like a lot of questions. What is going on? And so I was like, that was an experience for me. I wished I would have just pushed, He was
it's crazy that you had the option to do
yeah,
that.
only because I had had two births,
Right.
and so that was the only reason I had the option. Was because I had already delivered vaginally before or twice, and so they gave me a choice.
Okay.
But I almost wish, well, I wish I would have just had him vaginally because I had like complications after, like a day later. Like I started, like one of my stitches had busted loose, and
Mm,
it was like stuff because my blood didn't clot as much because I was on the blood thinners,
right.
and so like it wasn't clotting like the way it's supposed to, and then it was like weird clots, and it was a whole mess, and it just came out. So that was like a whole healing process on top of trying to heal from a C-section.
Yeah.
And my husband had to like take care. Once I got home, my husband had to take care of my wound. It wasn't like, you just go back to life.
Yeah.
Even though with C-section it's a little longer, but you still can get up and, excuse me, you can get up and I'm sorry. But you can get up and go. But with this extra, now I have this wound that's still kind of open, and my husband had to clean it and dress it and do all these weird things, and get very personal,
Yeah.
um, and still take care of my baby and nurse my baby. And that was another thing that I got to do, was like I got to experience the nursing. Those are some things that I got to experience. Like I really got to experience this last kid was like every aspect of it. It was
I love to
cool.
hear that.
Yep, it
That
was
is a
cool.
really beautiful thing. Yeah,
So,
she was a C-section baby.
was she?
Yeah. And that
How,
was,
was it scary?
I'm not going to say it was like scary, but going into the hospital, I wasn't expecting them to say that.
Yeah.
It all happened super fast, and I had to prepare for
Hmm.
what was going on and what was about to happen. But they got her out really fast.
Yeah. And see, that's probably how Isaiah's was.